1 week from Thursday, August 28th. If you're interested, I'll be doing an overview of the faith of Catholics. Just maybe a little tiny bit over an hour. The first part is the question of God. If God is so good, for example, why do innocent people suffer? How do we even have a sense that there would be a God? The next portion is the purpose of religion in general, and then kind of a lightning round of the Catholic faith in particular. For people who are interested in becoming Catholic, it's so much vibrancy here. We already have like 11, 12, 13. I think people have expressed interest, my goodness. And then it's also for people who have no desire to become Catholic, just are curious, and anybody in between. So you'd be certainly welcome. We had our first day of school as we record. It's yesterday, today's Thursday. Fabulous. Just great energy and fun. And we'll have our first all-school Mass tomorrow, which is also the Feast of the Assumption. Now, normally our Masses, all-school Masses, are at 8:15, but this one will be at 9 because it's a Parish holy day as well. And you're certainly welcome to join us for any of those. Our gospel question, sometimes it's hard to do the right thing, the loving thing. Well, what helps you? What helps you do the right thing, the loving thing? Thanks for joining. Thanks for your goodness. Two reporters had an interesting conversation at the top of a skyscraper that was under construction. They had been invited to cover the progress of these two huge buildings, which were to be joined at the top by a crosswalk. Now, they stood at that connecting I-beam high above the city streets, knowing that some construction workers would have to cross. One reporter said to the other, "I could not even imagine crossing that I-beam." The other said, "Would you do it for $1,000? He said, "Absolutely not." Well, then he asked, "Yeah? Would you cross that I-beam if your child was on the other side and in trouble and needed help?" Before he spoke his answer, the reporter could tell from the look in his eyes that the man's answer was yes. Yes, he would. The difference, of course, is what he would keep his eyes and heart focused on. He would do it for his child. Today, Jesus speaks of this dream that burns in his heart. He also speaks of how hard it is going to be to get there, right? Of the sufferings and losses that would be met on the way to its fulfillment. Now, he's not saying that the divisions and the heartaches that would come from his way are a good thing. Such divisions and the resultant heartache are not a good thing. He is saying that, sadly, this is how things are. We will struggle and face hardship, even just for doing what is good and loving and right. So how will we be able to hang in there, to persevere, to do the hard, loving things that we have to do? Our second reading puts it this way: let us persevere in running the race with our eyes fixed on Jesus. We do it by keeping our eyes fixed on Jesus, on his way, on the right thing. Like the guy who would cross an I-beam several hundred feet in the air for his child. When we keep our eyes fixed on the good of others, like Jesus did, our hearts focus on doing what is needed for love, then we can do it. We can. One example, it's the start of a new school year, and oh my gosh, all the hard work of sacrifices of staff and teachers and priests and parents, why do we do it? Because we keep our eyes and hearts focused on the right thing and on our children and what is needed for love. Because I believe that, that dream that burned into the heart of Jesus, I believe that Jesus counts on the children entrusted to our care to be a part of that dream, right? We are to help form children who know that they have a dignity that no one can take from them. To help form children to know that everyone suffers and who know that it matters profoundly how we treat each other, how we care for this world, that we would be kind. Jesus counts on us to help create children whose hearts are focused, as was his, on that dream of this incredibly loving kingdom for which he gave his life. And Jesus knows that these kids, they'll suffer too, right? But that if they do as he did and keep their hearts focused on love, they will have inside what they truly need. And that they will also be a part of help bringing the fiery light that burned in his heart to others on the way. So that's how it is with all noble and important efforts for the good of all. Our work is to help protect this fragile planet entrusted to our care. It's how it is for us to keep an eye out for our neighbors in need, even as we, work to have loving, healthy homes ourselves, right? It's the crucial and often discouraging work of trying to help end hunger and starvation. The care we put into our liturgies and ministries here, that anytime anybody walks through the doors here, they would sense the love of Christ. It's the hard work of peacemaking and bridge building and inclusion and all the ways that we try in the time that we have on earth to embody the things that Jesus stood for, those things that he lived himself, for which he died, and for which he continues to pray that we will help make real through our time on earth. Allow me this one aside. And certainly doing what is needed for love is hard and can sometimes feel lonely and discouraging and just, ugh. And most of the time, we won't get cheered for doing the right and loving thing. And as Jesus knows, sometimes we'll even get vilified instead of being honored. But our second reading today adds this encouragement. Along the way, hopefully you, if you feel like you're alone and trying to do the right thing, you'll be able to realize that you never are. That you have, in addition to a church family and friends with good hearts, right? And all the people who inspire you, even if you've never met them, but you know of their lives, and they want to help you be a good and loving person as well. Well, in addition to all of that, our second reading tells us that there is also an unseen, loving presence always rooting for us. These are, as the second reading put it, this way. There is a great cloud of witnesses who spurs us on. These are our loved ones who've gone before us in death and who are on the other side of everything we can see, right? They're praying for us, believing in us, cheering us on, encouraging the best in us. It includes all those holy women and children and men of any age who've kept their eyes focused on others, who did what was needed for love. In every moment, no matter how tough it gets, there is also this great unseen presence surrounding us and urging us to keep our hearts and focused on what is good and loving and true. Clearly, today's scriptures won't let us forget that there's always a price to pay for doing what is right and good and loving and true. And yes, it sometimes gets tiring and discouraging. But there is that great cloud of witnesses cheering us on. And like that reporter who would crawl across that beam for his child, when we keep our eyes and hearts focused on one another and on what is needed for love, we can help that dream that burned in the heart of Jesus to blaze right here in our day and through us to this world.